Quick quiz to start with. These could all be 2 or 1 mark questions in a GCSE exam. Give them a go, see how you get on. You might want to press pause. So today we're going to look at trade unions. This is probably something you've heard of, but you might not know what it is. So there's some examples: the NEU, the National Education Union, and Unison. You might want to go home and ask your parents or carers if they're involved in a trade union. Most workers tend to be. So what exactly are they? So basically, a trade union is an organisation for the workers. It's not to do with your place of work. Your boss isn't involved with it. It's an outside organisation that work with the people at your place of work to look after your rights. So basically, they can do lots of things on your behalf to campaign for you to make sure that you and people in your area of work are being treated fairly. So the kind of things that they can do, they can look at your pay and your working conditions. They can offer you legal advice if you need it. And what they do basically, they work for you as an individual, but also for everybody in your working area to get fair rights and treatment. So you pay a fee to be part of a union, depending on how much you earn. And if, for example, you feel that in your workplace you're being bullied, maybe the boss is picking on you, doesn't treat you right, maybe you're not getting paid fairly, maybe you're working over the hours that you should, and maybe you've spoken to someone at work about it and it's not really changed anything, you can contact your trade union and they will send a representative who will talk to the boss on your behalf, and they can even go further. So maybe if you've been unfairly sacked or something like that, they can work on your behalf for that. But also they work for everybody. So the National Education Union, they work for all teachers and teaching staff, and they will look at things like teacher pensions, teacher workload, and we've done things like go on strike and all those kind of things to try and improve the working conditions for teachers as a whole. And there we go, that's the National Education Union. Used to be 2 separate unions that have merged together. So I used to be part of the National Teachers Union, or Union of Teachers, sorry, the NUT. I like that because I was a nutter then. And we went on plenty of strikes over teacher workload and changes to pensions and all those kind of things. It's merged together now under the National Education Union, and they're not completely anti-establishment. They will work with the bosses, they work with the government to try and improve working life for teachers. There's 3 ways that unions can work in something called collective action. So that basically means people working together as a collective. The first one is a strike, and that's where you refuse to go to work. Now, you cannot just, as an individual, go out on a strike. It has to be organised through your union, and bosses have to be told. So for National Union of Teachers, we went on strike and we were campaigning against pension changes and all of those kind of things. You don't get paid, so that's a big issue. And some people who choose to go into work when the rest of the workers are striking, they will get paid, and that can cause quite a lot of problems. There are issues with strikes, of course, because it's the people of your service who are missing out. So, for example, there was a junior doctor's strike not long ago. Because of that, lots of appointments had to be cancelled, people missed operations, and so on and so forth. When teachers go on strike, very often schools have to be shut, parents have to have the day off work, and then that can cause a lot of problems as well. However, does it work? Well, it gets people listening, particularly if you go on marches and things like that while the strikes are going on. For example, when I went to Birmingham on one of the strikes, there was 50,000 of us marching around Birmingham. And then, of course, all the businesses in Birmingham were aware, streets had to be shut off, and it does get a lot of public attention. I was on ITV News, for example. Next one we can do is a walkout. So this is where you deliberately plan to walk out of your work at a certain time. And again, the union have to be involved and your bosses will be aware. So, for example, in Iceland, women are paid 18% less than men. So, what they will do once a year, they leave en masse 18% earlier than they are supposed to. And all the women get up and walk out of their work. So they're not causing as much disruption as a strike, and it is getting people's attention, and it's massive in the media. Google it and you'll find some good videos. The next one is work to rule, which basically means you only do what you're supposed to do. You don't do any extras. So again, in teaching, we did this about 10 years ago. And what we had to do for this was things like no extra school clubs, not running any trips, not doing any lunchtime provisions, just doing what we are paid to do. This doesn't cause as much media attention. It's a bit unsettling for some of the kids if they're used to going to after school clubs, but on the whole, it doesn't cause that much of a mess. So, trade unions can be known as employee associations. Association just means a group. Employees are the workers. It's a group for workers. The other one is an employer association. Now, employers are the bosses. And believe it or not, bosses actually can have a hard time too. So there are some employer associations, which is what the bosses will be part of too. Right, so there are some genuine GCSE questions on this one. Have a little look, see if you can work out what the answers are. The second one, you might not have heard of any of them. That's fine. Have a look and do it by a process of elimination. Which ones sound like a group of employers, a group of bosses, and see if you can work it out that way. And the next one is a 4-mark question. So you've got your source, which is about Saudi Arabian workers' rights. And then your question says compare it with how those groups of people are treated in the UK. This links into your human rights as well. So have a look at the union action. Unions are legal in this country, remember? Think about how they're treated there, and for a 4-mark question you need to make 2 separate points. So it's 2 paragraphs. Make your point, give the evidence out of the source and compare it with your own knowledge about the UK and explain how that's different. Have a go at doing that, and the answers are on the next slide.